hope and faith are intertwined. It's kind of one and the same. So you have, in my head, I always break it down. You have faith and you have fear. Every action or every idea, every decision that we make is rooted in either faith or is rooted in fear. I sat down in this chair, something as small as this. I sat down in this chair with a faith that it was going to hold me up. Right. I get in my car with the faith that I'm going to get to the destination that I'm going to. You would get put in these rooms to where you're able to showcase your gifts and your talents and your abilities. So you're connected to the right people. So you're making dreams come to life. You're letting these ideas that you have turn into actualities and realities that are actually helping people. But don't get caught up in the thought of, I need to learn how to do everything. Because when you try to do everything, you end up doing nothing.
Friends are really people like you just met one day.
Yeah, just through passion.
Yeah, like at some point, like we just so happened to exist at the same time, and we just ran into each other. Right.
And you had some things that I needed. I had some things you needed.
Yeah.
And we're able to provide for each other.
Right. All right. Welcome, everybody, to the FBA podcast. This is our very first episode, so I appreciate you joining us today. The intention today is to cover the foundation pillar of the FBA podcast format. And today we have a very special guest, not only because it's the first episode, but because of what he stands for and what he drives here in the city. We have fellow podcaster, entrepreneur, creator, Tyrus. How you doing, man?
Pretty good, man. How are you?
I'm great.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Oh, of course, man. No, I appreciate you being here.
Yeah.
Honestly. No, you're my first guest. So
I appreciate that.
You know, it's an honor for you to be here, man. But I can't remember if I explained to you like the full format of what's going on for this podcast, but ultimately it's to drive foundational growth, whether it's through mindset or faith or whatever people stand on for foundation, to improve on people's business acumen, whatever that looks like. So whatever business industry you exist in, there's people, especially here in the city, that are existing in that space. And athletics is self-explanatory. Like, you know, we got sports here. And the Pacers, bro, do you see that?
They've been going crazy.
Bruh.
I love to see it.
Yeah.
I love to see it. It's good for the city. It's just good to see.
Yeah.
It actually feels good.
It's odd, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because like it feels like in Indy we're
not used to this.
We're not.
Yeah, we used to be just being mediocre. But it's like, dang, we're actually good.
Yeah. And I just think it's so funny that it's New York.
Yeah.
Because New York just
ironic.
I know people from New York, they think like they're the
They die hard.
Yes.
I love that too. They die hard. Like they're not gonna let nobody take away from whatever it is they putting out. So I love that too.
And I respect it, but shut up. Shut up, bro. Shut up.
Oh man.
Yeah, you lose and you got to go and pay $4,000 in about 2 days for your 9 square foot apartment. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. We're here to cover the foundation pillar, and I know you personally, so I know a little bit about kind of what you stand on, but just for the people that are listening, expand a little bit more on the importance of having a foundation and what that looks like for you. Yeah.
As you said, my name is Tyrus Duncan. I'm an entrepreneur, a visionary, a creative around the city of Indianapolis, Indiana. Everything that I do is to get people to understand the value that they have in themselves and also to understand the value that other people have within themselves. So to speak of foundation, that was built basically through my own insecurity. And I'll go to like the whole business as a whole, everybody, somebody, which is my brand, to spread awareness that no matter what you do or who you are, your life has value. So to go to the foundational piece of what started that, it's all a mindset of, wow, does my life have value? Am I important? Do I belong here? Because those are all questions that I ask myself, and I think these are questions that everybody asks themselves. So to establish something to help people think better about themselves so they can start to live better and also treat other people better, that's the foundation of me and everything that I do.
Yeah. So when you talk about ultimately foundation, I heard you touch on a little bit of like, why am I here from a purpose standpoint? Like ultimately, because we can build businesses, right? But like, you have to build that on something. So like for me, that's my faith. Ultimately, what really drove me to start this was to also spread awareness about the things that I stand for, that I stand on. For me, it's my faith. And that is what allows me to live freely, to pursue and do the things that I want to do, to go without fear, because I know that at the end of the day, because your foundation is what do you fall on? Yeah, really. Like when you when you hit rock bottom, like what is it that you hit? You know. So I'll ask you, because you mentioned your business, but what does that personally stand on for you? Like when you say you would hit rock bottom, like what would that be for you?
That's a great question, because I've been to rock bottom a couple of times, and hope is what drives me to continue. So my faith and my hope and understanding that although things may be bad right now, they won't stay there.
Mm-hmm.
So the belief on being that's higher than self, which we all call God most of the time. So to believe that there's somebody that is greater than me, who has more power than me, who can do the things that I can't do, who can help me through the things that I don't know if I can make it through, just to at least have a sense of hope to push me, to continue to drive me. That's what leads me. That's my foundation. The faith and the hope and the confidence that there's somebody who has my back.
Yeah, and I want to touch on that hope aspect that you brought up, because like hope, it's so funny when you talk about when you pursue something, you don't actually know.
You don't know. You have no idea.
You have no idea.
I mean, that's what faith is, the definition of faith, or the biblical definition of faith, the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen.
Yeah.
So it's an idea, essentially.
Yeah.
It's like, I hope that this is going to come to life.
Yeah.
Or I hope that somebody or something has my back. So yes, everything.
Yeah, because like I think it's important to define things properly, because you can't have faith without hope. Like hope is an inherent quality of faith.
Yeah.
You know, but I would think that you can have hope without faith. So like when you isolate this hope part, because I want to touch on that for a little bit. Again, it's something that like, it's like you really don't know. It's not like a math equation, right? Now, in some ways it is. Like, you know, when scientists, like they build rockets and they build cars, and engineers that build bridges, you do kind of like, at the end of the day, you kind of hope it works. Yeah. You know, when you build a bridge, a car has to drive on it for you to know.
Right.
So how do you think there's the interaction, I want to say spiritually, with the idea of hope, but then kind of the execution that still needs to take place? It's like, how do you really move forward with hope as something that you stand on? Yeah,
I mean, I think everything that we do is rooted in hope. So with every decision that we make, whether good or bad, it's all rooted in hope. And for me, hope and faith are intertwined. It's kind of one and the same. So you have, in my head, I always break it down. You have faith and you have fear. Every action or every idea, every decision that we make is rooted in either faith or is rooted in fear.
Right.
I sat down in this chair, something as small as this. I sat down in this chair with the faith that it was going to hold me up.
Right.
Right. I get in my car with the faith that I'm going to get to the destination that I'm going to.
Right.
I start a business with the faith that is going to bless and it's going to basically be a solution for the problem that I'm trying to solve.
Right.
So all of that is rooted in not knowing. And if you don't have the hope that's attached to the beginning, you won't get there anyways. I would have never sat in this chair if I didn't hope that it was going to hold me up. If I didn't hope that my car was going to get me here, I would have never got into it. So I think that's the foundational piece of everything.
Yeah.
There's no action without hope.
No, I hear you, and I agree with you on that too. Like, especially when you talk about, again, I think we align on like kind of basing our definition of hope and faith biblically, right? I think it's funny because, you know, I do a Bible study every Thursday, and there's so many things that are evident in Scripture where it's like you really can't have one without the other. And I don't know. I think I'm still discovering that for myself, because like when you say like faith is the evidence of things hoped for, and things not seen, like I'm not sure like when you describe hope, faith is in it. You know what I mean? I mean, like that's just something that I'm exploring for myself personally.
What is it for you? What do you think?
Faith or hope?
The difference, the distinction between faith and hope.
I think hope is how you move forward. I think faith is kind of how you establish that in the first place. Because I think faith, like, again, it's hard to describe, right?
It's like a complex idea.
It is a complex idea because it's not like something you can touch.
Yeah, it's an idea.
Yeah, so you have to like let it. You kind of have to let it like be its own thing, and then you follow it. Because again, when you think about like I have faith in God, or you have faith in something, like you had faith in the chair. I had faith in the chair and hoped that it was going to hold me up.
Yeah, you know? I mean, if I was to break it down simply, I would just take the first half of that scripture. Faith is the substance of things hoped for. So you hope, and then faith is the substance of what you hope for.
Right.
You can have the one part, but also a hope can be used in a negative connotation if you replace that for fear. Fear is the substance of things hoped for. It's all rooted in unbelief. So if you think about it, what is hope? It's a fact to believe something.
Yeah.
Whether good or bad. Faith in my head is on the positive context, whereas fear is on the negative context. So you're going to have some type of substance. If you are scared that a plane is going to crash, you're leading off of fear. So that, in a sense, is hope in a fearful manner. But if you have faith that it's going to get you to where you want to get to, that's faith in a positive manner.
Yeah, I think like also with faith and fear being like contradicting ideas.
Yeah, cousins, brothers.
Yeah, faith takes the responsibility away from you. I think fear places insecurity on the things that you can't do. Because like when you're afraid of something, it's the lack of belief in your own ability to do something. When you have faith, it's the release that there's things I don't need to do. Like there's like, I feel like, or at least I know, because when I say I have faith in God, I can move forward knowing that he's going to take care of the things that I can't do.
Yeah.
Like there's things that I can't think about, I can't worry about. But when I move with fear, oftentimes like you're moving, trying to prove either to yourself that there's things you can't do, or you're trying to take control of the things you know you can't control. So like fear places all of the pressure on yourself because that's the only place that you're looking. And I think that actually shows up in different ways too. Like when you're afraid of something, you think it's bigger than you. Again, like when you're afraid of something,
and even to that point,
bigger than you.
I think people have to understand fear is normal too. It's actually sometimes it's healthy.
Yeah.
But to have courage, that means to do something in spite of fear.
Right.
That means although I'm scared, I'm going to try anyways. I'm going to do this anyways. That's where you learn how to be powerful.
Yeah.
That's where the breakthrough happens. Although I'm scared, I'm still going to try.
Yeah.
Although I don't know the outcome on the outside, on the other side of this, I'm going to replace the fear. Although I still may be scared, but I'm going to have faith that I'm going to break through this thing that's hard.
Yeah. No, because I think you made a good point. Because I think you kind of corrected me earlier too. Like I described it as faith and fear being opposites, but you said cousins. So like it's not that fear is like being fearful.
Fearful.
Being fearful is a bad thing, right?
Yeah.
But
or having fear with the absence of faith is a bad thing.
Yes, exactly.
So when you're scared and you neglect to make certain decisions, that's when fear is bad.
Yeah.
But if you're scared, but you have faith that you can make it through, that's when fear could be used kind of not to an advantage, but that's where human makes us human.
Yeah.
Because we all do things scared.
Yeah.
And I think people need to understand that. Specifically, the doers, right? The people who are out here doing things, who are making things come to life. A lot of people have this preconceived notion that these people are doing this with no fear. I will correct you right now.
They are just going.
They think the watchers. So we'll have two different categories, right? We have the watchers and we have the doers.
Right.
The watchers, the ones watching the doers. The doers, the one who are actually doing it. The watchers are the ones watching them, saying, "Man, these people are out here, no fear, just out here, just doing the thing."
It's like, no, they're not.
I love to see it.
Yeah.
And I be trying to remind people, although I'm doing, there are still some moments where I am scared. There are still some moments where my faith dwindles. There are still some moments where I feel like I can't do the things that I set out to do.
Right.
But I have the courage to take the chance with the hopes that what I do will get the results that I hope for.
Yeah. And that's all based in faith.
And that's all based in faith.
Yeah.
In spite of fear, which is still there.
Yeah.
Which is still whispering in my ear saying, you know you can't do this.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like that battle.
Yeah.
But I'm like, nah, I don't care what. I'm going to try to do it anyways, in spite of what you think that I can and can't do.
Yeah. To your point, I think the presence of fear, like in a bunch of songs, rappers be like, I ain't scared. It's like, you have to say that because there's some fear present in the first place.
Yeah.
Like if you're not doing something worth your time, then you're not going to be scared. Like you're gonna walk comfortably in something that doesn't challenge you. You know. Now, I think that also depends, right? Because again, as men of faith, we're told to walk in situations without fear.
Yeah.
Like
fear not.
Yeah, bro. I was
not
reading
afraid.
Joshua chapter 1. That's been on my mind a lot. Where it's after Moses, his time is done, he passes away, and that first chapter is so powerful because it is all about God reassuring Joshua
that he can carry the load. Yeah.
Yeah, but also that he's going to be there for him just like he was Moses. So he says 3 different times, be not afraid, be courageous. I will be with you. I will never leave you. So it's like in the face of a situation that is big, because God was not asking them to do nothing light. Like he was asking them like to go with not receive, but take the promised land, because there was somebody already there, right? So in the face of doing something that is scary, that requires courage, it opens the opportunity for you to be courageous, for you to have faith. Because when you're fearful about something, again, like if you walk into a situation that's worth doing, and you're only observing your own ability to do it, you're going to be scared. Like that's why, like, I'm not going to say like people stay watchers, but like you're watching because there's some part of you that believes I can't do that.
And that is why people stay watchers. They're not sure how to convert the fear into faith and use the courage to walk through whatever challenge they think that they're facing. They let the block that's in front of them, where they are and where they want to be, stop them. Like, I can't do that.
Yeah.
And that goes to another foundational piece that I always touched on, the foundation of confidence. Confidence is everything. If you don't think you can, then you can't. And that may be the only reason.
Yeah.
But when you think that you can, there's a possibility that you can.
Yeah.
Because you have shifted your mindset into thinking maybe I can do this instead of maybe I can't. And when you walk into situations with the hopes or the ideas that maybe I can, versus I know that I can't, you can change the world.
Yeah.
And there are too many people who lack confidence in themselves, which is why they don't get the results.
Yeah.
But when you have confidence in yourself, and you have confidence in the being higher than self, God, you have confidence in the people around you, you have confidence in your dreams and your ideas, and you walk through with that confidence, can't nobody stop you.
Yeah. And you know what's funny? And we talk about like the complexity of like any concept really, but like when we talk about faith, like for faith to honestly like take over and be your foundation, it takes both of what you described. Like it takes confidence in the things you know you can do, but also, I won't say like a fear, but like in the presence of that fear, the awareness of what you can't do. Yeah. You know? And I think where fear can take over and be in a place where it's not supposed to be in any area of your confidence, because like there's things you can do and there's things you can't. Yeah. Like those are objective.
Yeah, and accepted.
You know? Exactly. Those are objected and accepted. But I think like fear takes over when it begins to override where your confidence can envelop. Because I think when your confidence steps out of where it's supposed to be, it becomes arrogance. Yeah. And when you get into arrogance, that's where it can get really dangerous, of like believing that you can do more by tricking the mind, rather than the awareness of like, I know myself, I know my abilities, I know where those end. Yeah. And now I can let go of the rest. Like that's where faith comes in. Yeah. Like it takes the confidence to and belief of like what I can do, what I've been gifted to do. Like for example, every time, like for example, my sister today, she's trying out for the bobsled team, the American bobsled team up in Chicago. And anytime like I've talked to her or someone that I'm mentoring, where they have a track meet or a football game or whatever, or whether I'm coaching the kids, I always tell them, I'm like, you are more than equipped. And you are more than able. Like we've practiced, we've trained, you're prepared, but there's things that you can't control that you can't let come into your head. There's things that you can't step outside of or step into, especially when we talk about athletics. There's things you just can't do. You can't do everything. Yeah. Right. And that's the beauty of it. You can't do everything. And it's freeing because you can't do everything. Yeah. So do what you do to the best of your ability. And when we talk about like outside of athletics, you talk about life. Let God handle the rest, man. Like, I have confidence in the abilities that he's given me and that I've honed through his grace. And then there's the things I know he's going to take care of. Like that is how I see like faith playing out. But like you mentioned, it requires confidence. It requires fear. And then that's where courage steps in through faith.
Yeah, and that's an action item I like to give people. Figure out what it is that you do well and do that. Yeah. And as you do the things that you're doing well, your gifts will make room for you. So you will start to enter these spaces and these rooms and these places where there are people who need you on their team to complete their team. Right. And there are people that you need in those rooms that you need on your team to complete your team. Yeah. So it's all not about being able to do everything. Well, it's about to be able to do what it is that you do really well.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a football player, you know. You can play every position. It wasn't it's not meant for you to play every position.
Yeah.
And I love the complexities when you even talk about in football all the positions, because they're all very important.
Yeah.
And you can't win no games if you don't have every position put into place.
Yeah.
But the left tackle trying to play quarterback, something wrong.
Bro, there's no team, I don't care who it is, there's no team on earth that you could have all of one position taking up the field. Every like any team structured that way would lose.
Yeah.
Terribly.
Yeah.
To an average team that's structured properly. Like you mentioned, everybody has a place, and I think that shows itself, and like that resonated with me with football, because I think it's so apparent.
Yeah.
Like you cannot, I played D-line. You cannot have 11 D linemen on the field.
You can't do it.
No, it's not going to work.
Good luck.
Good luck. You can't have 11 safeties.
Yeah.
Because they're going to run all over. You can't have 11 corners. You might be able to have 11 linebackers. But they air raid all day.
Yeah.
You know, you can't have 11 quarterbacks. You sure as heck can't have 11 offensive linemen, you know. Yeah. But like, it's the fact that everyone has a lane, everyone has a job, everyone has a place for you.
Yeah.
To excel in.
So that's the call right there. Figure out what it is that you do well.
Right.
And do those things well.
Absolutely.
And your gifts will make room for you. You would get put in these rooms to where you're able to showcase your gifts and your talents and your abilities. So you're connected to the right people. So you're making dreams come to life. You're letting these ideas that you have turn into actualities and realities that are actually helping people. But don't get caught up in the thought of, I need to learn how to do everything.
Yeah.
Because when you try to do everything, you end up doing nothing. And you don't need to learn how to do everything. Just do something.
Yeah.
Because you can do something.
Yeah. No, and I think that's what's so beautiful about this life, man. Like being a person of faith. Like the Bible, one is about building a relationship about the one that loves and knows you, but also is to free you of the things that are outside of what you've been gifted to do. Like we're all here to do something. And we've all been gifted to be here to do something. But when you begin to, like you meant, like that, it's perfect, man. Like when you try to do everything, you do nothing. And that's one of my old coaches told me that. He's like, when you try to see the whole field, you see nothing.
Nothing.
Focus on your key, your job, your role, and your lane, and you will excel.
Literally.
And having spoken to like a bunch of different CEOs and entrepreneurs, like I'm sure a creative like yourself, you know this, like the best way to manage your business and to scale it as well as possible is to find people smarter than you and to find people that can do what you can't do.
What made Kanye West or Quincy Jones such great producers is not the fact that they knew how to play instruments. It's the fact that they knew how to build relationships with the best people who played those instruments, and they put them all together in a room and say, hey, here's my idea, go crazy.
Yeah.
And that's where you are able to create beautiful things.
Yeah.
By trusting people who are subject matter experts to do what they are subject matter experts in.
Yeah.
Not
Absolutely.
people to try to do everything. And I know we live in this life to where people think that they need to know how to do everything. I want to make an objective claim right now that is not true. You don't need to know how to do everything. You just need to know how to do something well.
Something, anything. But I want to say that leads into my next question I wanted to ask you. Like we're already kind of talking about it, right? But when you have an established foundation, you know yourself, you can step forward. You know, for us, it's with faith, hope, and confidence and courage. How does having that set you up for success?
It's everything. That's that. The thing we've been talking through that. That's literally the foundation. You got to have faith. You got to have confidence. You got to have trust that something is going to work out, even if you don't know that it is. They always say a step in the wrong direction is better than no step at all.
Yeah.
So to take a step in a direction that you believe is going to be correct and find it out on the way that something is not right is better than standing in the same place because you will die there.
Right.
There's a powerful book called Who Moved My Cheese. Very small read. And I that's one of the only books that I read. And I promote to people because I hate to read. I hate it. Can't stand it.
You do Audible?
No. I just be too many words. I do podcasts. I like conversations and everything.
Right.
But in that book, I can't remember the difference between him and Hall. They were two rats, and something happened. They ran out of cheese, basically. One of them stayed where they was, and they was like, well, I guess we just done got no cheese. And the other one was like, well, looks like we better start looking for some cheese. The one who didn't want to move died where he stayed.
Yep.
The other one was able to find the cheese.
Mm-hmm.
I say that all to say, if you run out of the cheese, whatever the cheese may be in your life, if you run out of that cheese, get to moving or die where you stand.
Yeah.
And I promise you, you probably have a better chance of getting to moving and finding whatever it is that you're looking for than to die where you stand.
Yeah. No, to that point, I want to say that same exact structure that story is reflected. I can't remember the exact verse in the Bible, but it tells the story of the father who had 3 sons, and he gives them each an investment.
10 talents.
Exactly. Yeah. So one of them took their talents, they went and invested it, and they got like a compounded return. One of them, like I can't remember, like he got
5, 3, and 1.
Yeah. But the person that took 3, he flipped it, came back, and he essentially came back and he had the same amount.
Yeah.
Right. The third one buried it and kept it and did nothing with it. And the father was he was pissed.
Yeah.
You know, because like don't take what you have and hide it.
And he took it and gave it to the ones who made motion.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like, don't hide your talents.
Yeah. And then another verse in the Bible, it's in Matthew. It's right after the Beatitudes. It says, a light placed on a hill is meant to shine. Like, don't hide your light, man.
Yeah.
Like, don't, like, it. Yeah, a light placed on a hill, like, it's meant to shine bright. It's not meant to be hidden.
Yeah.
You know? Like, every single one of us, like we've been talking about, has been given a gift to use to express power and creativity for the benefit of other people. Every single one of us.
Yeah.
You know? And it's up to us to go and find and expand what that is. Like, for us, it's been through our faith, right? Like, who has God made me to be? And what is this gift that I am to use and hone to help other people? You know, now, ideally, if everybody moved in that direction, yeah, the world would be a better place, right? Ideally. But it's just so freeing to know that you do not have to do everything.
You don't.
You just got to do something really well. Like, whatever that is, find it, focus. And if you want to build something, find someone else with a different gift.
Yeah.
Tell them, come on, and you can.
And even to that, I mean, I would encourage you to find somebody else with a different gift, so you can be as strong as possible. 2 is always going to be stronger than 1.
For sure.
You can go so much farther with the whole group of people who are committed to the same idea, to the same journey, to the same destination. So to find those people who may need you and you may need them helps you win championships.
Yeah.
LeBron James had to leave Cleveland to go to Miami to win his first championship.
Yeah.
Not because he was a bad basketball player, but because he wasn't surrounded by the right pieces to help him win the championship. So sometimes it's not even about you, but it's about your surroundings.
Right.
And sometimes you have to leave where you're surrounded by to get into a championship winning team, a championship winning environment with a championship winning coach. It's not you.
Yeah.
It's not always you.
Yeah.
Be completely aware of that, because LeBron James is also a man who has put in the work into his body, who has put in the work mentally, who has put himself of a place to be LeBron James to where he can say, you know what, I want to go here, and we're going to win the championship here. Yeah. So, yes, do the work too. But if the work has not been done around you, please remove yourself from the environment. Don't be the person to be like, I'm loyal to this space that I'm in right now, but you're not winning no championships.
Yeah.
Go ahead and win the championships.
Yeah. No, to everything you said, like, there's so many things to touch on there that could be a whole different conversation. But when you talk about the importance of environment, who you surround yourself with, whether it's from a business perspective, and I'll get into this later as well, but when you talk about your friends, even your family, there are some environments you just cannot persist in.
Yeah.
And it's not like because you're not influential enough. It's like because you are a product partially of your environment, you know? And I observe this too. Like, you can oftentimes tell in a one-on-one interaction or with any interaction with someone who is like more comfortable with who they are or in who they are. Yeah. Because oftentimes the person who is less comfortable will start to mirror the other individual. Yeah. So like, I don't know. I started to observe this.
That's very true. And I find myself doing that sometimes even still. Although I know that I have confidence in who I am and what it is I have to offer to this world. But I still find myself, just because of how powerful your environment is. And there will be people who try to drag you down. And if you're surrounded by those people long enough, you will get dragged down. Yeah. So you have to remove yourself. Yeah. And sometimes it's not even about the people being bad people. Sometimes they can be great people.
Yeah. They're just not there yet.
They're just not, or they're just not meant for, they're just not heading in the direction that you're meant to head in. Yeah. God told Abram to leave his father's house. Not because his father's house was, all the way terrible. Actually, Abram was living pretty well there. But he said, in order for me to make you a father of many nations, I need you to leave where you are.
Right.
So I can make you be blessed and work for me even better.
Yeah.
So sometimes you got to leave where you at. And a palm tree does not grow in Indiana.
Nope.
But it grows well in Florida.
To your point about surroundings, that actually funny. We're going right through I came up with this list like 10 minutes ago. We're going right through my list. Surroundings, family, work. Recently, I have been studying the New Testament a little bit. And my Bible study group that I host on Thursdays, we covered John 15. And in John 15, Jesus is kind of giving his final address to the disciples. And he said, greater love has no one than this, but one who is willing to lay down his life for his friends. And I've really been exploring recently, because I feel like we haven't grown up like in the church. You always think about God the Father, God, Master, Savior, Messiah. I'm recently coming to find God the friend through Jesus. And it kind of really calls me to ponder for myself, but I want to ask you, like, what does friend mean to you?
I actually just Googled that word earlier this week.
Really?
Yeah. That's an interesting word. Essentially, a friend is someone who's there in spite of all the circumstances, whatever it is that is, hindering you from being your best. A friend is somebody who sees you at the bottom but knows the potential to bring you to the top. A friend is someone who doesn't give up on you. A friend is somebody who you can depend on in the moments that you feel like you need somebody. A friend is what Solomon was speaking of in Ecclesiastes when he said, if you fall down and no one is there to pick you up, what do you do? A friend is that person who will be there to pick you up.
Yeah.
That's what a friend is.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's amazing. And I think part of that too, like my minister always talks about, you're going to have like different people in your life. Like your family, you stuck with them. Can't get rid of them.
But not all your family has to be your friend.
Yeah, that too.
Some of them can just be your family just by blood.
Shouldn't.
Some of them will not be your friend.
But
and rightfully so.
Yeah. You know what's crazy? Like friends are really people like you just met one day.
Yeah, just through passing.
Yeah. Like at some point, like we just so happened to exist at the same time and we just ran into each other. Right.
And you had some things that I needed, I had some things you needed.
Yeah.
And we're able to provide for each other.
Right.
That's what a friend. Yeah.
Yeah. And then like in friendship, like, because again, when you talk about family, like some of them you just stuck with, can't get rid of them. Right.
Yes, you can.
Yeah. So yeah, I hear you on that one. But like with friends, it's like they're around you because they like you.
Yeah.
Like because there is something about you that just keeps them or you. It's like, hey, let's set up some time to exist in the same space.
Because you make me feel better.
Exactly. Like it's like feel better. You challenge my mind or you help my spirit, whatever that might look like. And when we read that verse in John 15, we did kind of a light coverage of the crucifixion during Easter. And it was right after, because we studied John 15 individually, then we covered the crucifixion. And it was already in my head, like, because I was honestly confused because it's not an idea that I explored a lot because it's always been like a looking up to the Father or like a form of obedience. Yeah. But like a lot of what Jesus portrays, especially with the disciples, yes, teacher, yes, savior, yes, shepherd, right, but also friend. And a friend definitely has more of the sense of like I'm right here with you and I'm looking you in the eyes, as opposed to like I'm looking up towards you, right? And it's just so funny, like when you walk into the crucifixion, like kind of having that on your mind, the first thing that Jesus did when he came back, apart from saying hi to his mama, was he came back and just said, hey guys, I'm okay. He visited his friends and said, I'm okay, don't worry, go now go and spread the gospel. You know, because like apart from like Jesus, like he was walking around and he was teaching and bringing hope to God's kingdom. But like they also like they hung out, you know, they partied, they ate.
Boys.
Yeah, they was boys, you know? And I think sometimes we forget that. And, you know, because I think especially as you get older, you are really careful with that word. Like you can't just call everybody a friend. You know, when you're growing up, oh, these are all my friends and sweetheart.
I mean, and even at that age, maybe they are because they're there. What do you need as a child? Just somebody to play with.
Yeah.
So maybe they are your friends.
Yeah.
But as you grow, there's those circumstances, the requirements of what it takes for you to be inside of my life changes.
Yeah.
And if you're not heading in the direction that I'm heading, I don't need you. You're either been a distraction or you're helping me get to where I want to get to. And if you're not adding, you're taking away. And you are too precious to be around people who only take away. Unless that's your mission, that's your relationship with those people. I wouldn't call him a friend, though. It's more so like a
child,
like my son.
Yeah, yeah. I was like,
I have
even children still give. Nah, I ain't got no kids. But like not every parent, but just about every parent that I talk to, when they talk about having kids, and it's like, first of all, they spend like the first 2 years trying to kill themselves. They walking around, falling. It's like, what are you doing?
Same things we are learning how to live.
Exactly, and like that's really how God sees us. And from God's perspective, we just walk around here trying to kill ourselves. But every parent that I've talked to some capacity has told me like the difficulties of raising a child, right? Because they literally cannot do anything for themselves. If you just left an infant, they would just die. Yeah. You got to feed them, you got to clothe them, you got to walk them around, you got to teach them how to walk, teach them how to talk, do all these things. And in this space of where you're exclusively giving, you're receiving. Like you're learning so much, one, about your own capabilities, but also the gift of raising up new life. And this is a little bit off topic of the friend conversation, but I do think that kind of relationship does exist where like someone is technically like only taking, but there is still some form of exchange, you know. Now there are situations that exist where someone is abusing your generosity, and I think you see that more in adults because they're aware. Like babies don't know. They don't care. They don't know enough to care. But like when you talk about adults in a relationship where you're only giving and they're abusing, like say for example, like if it was you and I, and like you came up and like you're millionaire, billionaire, whatever, and I only ask you for favors. Like I don't ask like, hey man, let's just hang out and let's just talk. You know, honestly, the other day, like I know someone in a big city. They work at a really famous restaurant, and that's how I met them. But it's like I don't want to just have that exclusive. I don't want to just hit you up so I get at the restaurant. Like let's hang out and let's talk and let's be friends that way. And someone hit me up the other day. They were like, hey, can you hit them up for me? I'm like, no. Yeah, no, thank you. No. And they were a close person in my life. And I was like, I'm not comfortable doing that because I don't want to build any relationship where I'm only asking for stuff as opposed to like asking how you are. Now, here's the thing. If maybe you are comfortable with just doing the favor and keeping it that way.
There are some people who do that.
Yeah. And here's the thing. I'm not comfortable engaging in that relationship with someone else, like where I'm only asking. It's like, hey, I appreciate what you did. Let's just sit down and talk. Yeah, you know what I mean. And who knows? Maybe they don't, and they're cool with just getting me in or whatever. But I know that I personally wouldn't want to exist as an adult in an adult friend relationship where they're only asking me for something. I don't want that.
There's non-reciprocated value.
Exactly. Yeah. And now what's funny about reciprocation, some of the best pieces of advice that I've gotten was from my minister. And I was in a really tough spot personally with an individual at the time. And I had a counseling session with them. And I was like, why should I reach out to this person? And why should I take the lead when the energy is not being reciprocated? And this changed my life. He told me, Byron, don't look for reciprocation. Lead and be yourself. Give out of who you are, not because of what you're looking for. And it changed everything. Now, there's an awareness that comes with that of like, if I understand this person, like, because you can give, but someone might not be ready to receive. Yeah. So I had to be aware of like, yes, I can give out of who I am, but that doesn't mean I have to like do it all the time. For sure.
It's one thing I try to remind myself. If your cup is overflowing, it is your responsibility to give. If your cup is running dry, don't do it. Yeah. But most of us who are givers at heart will give just because we feel like giving. Yeah. Without expecting anything in return. Just out of love. Just out of seeing somebody in need. And you have something that they need. Because there's also a scripture that talks about that. If you have something that somebody needs and you give it not, if you don't give it to them, the love of the Father is not in you. So to think about that, and to have what people need and to hold it to yourself, that's a foundation of pride. Yeah. Because why do you need it and these other people need it,
Mm-hmm.
but you're just, holding on to it and it's not serving any value to you.
Mm-hmm.
Let it go. Go ahead and give it to them. And even relationships, like what is a relationship but built up of time, attention, and energy?
Yep.
Sometimes when we don't get that reciprocation of, well, they're not giving me time in return, they're not giving me attention, and they're not giving me energy, so why shall I keep on doing this? It's an honest conversation that you have to have with yourself and with the other individual. 'Cause sometimes when you lead, what does it mean to lead? That means to go first.
Yep.
Right? So when you lead and you're trying to get somebody to go into the direction that you're going into, your hope is that they follow. So eventually it gets to a point that they're not giving you what it is that you need in return, and they're not following you.
Yeah.
Don't waste your time continuing to lead them.
Yeah. Yeah. No, to your point, like, and this actually, man, we flowing right through. It kind of leads to our next topic, but we talk about leadership. What I try to define things as biblically as I can. When you talk about leadership is sacrificing first. And whether that looks like giving, whether that looks like taking the first step, like it's sacrificing first. That's what leadership is inherently, which is why like people get confused when someone's in a leadership position and they're not sacrificing first. They're not giving first. They're not being a leader. Yeah. So I don't call that bad leadership. There's a difference between a
leader and a manager.
There is 100%.
The people who just manage different areas, and there's somebody who leads people into wherever it is that they're going.
Yeah. Now to that point, right into our next topic, let's talk about masculinity. So how does what you stand on help you at least define or pursue, I won't say healthy masculinity, because masculinity is inherently a good thing.
It's necessary.
It is necessary. So how has that helped you kind of define and pursue masculinity in your life?
I have a strong father. I have a strong grandfather. I see the effects of what it is to have a father and to not have a father. Because I have a lot of family who doesn't have fathers. And I have a lot of friends who don't have fathers. And I know a lot of people in general who don't have fathers. And it's world changing. Yeah. The details are crazy versus if somebody is raised without a father versus somebody not been raised without a father. Because masculinity is taught in ways that are not said. Right. But only in ways that you see. So there are some things that I learned from my father that he didn't say, but that I saw. And now I'm able to wake and walk in the ways of being a masculine man, whatever that means. In my head, it's just to be a man, because it's a necessary position that drives the whole world. Yes, it drives the whole world. I want to make that very, very foundational and claim like we're the driving force of the world. And without us, we can't win any battles. Yeah. And again, masculinity is always a interesting concept, a topic, because when you bring up masculinity, immediately someone wants to bring up femininity.
Yeah, or toxic.
Or toxic masculinity. It's like, what is that? Yeah. Please tell me. Since you have such a great definition
here we go
of toxic masculinity, please point me in the direction of pure masculinity. What does that look like?
Yeah.
And if you listen, a lot of people would try to point pure masculinity in ways of submission. When biblically a man is only supposed to submit to God. And that's it. And everybody else follows us. So a man who is submitting to God is a man worth following. That's what masculinity is. Are you submitting to God, and are you following the things that he said for us to do? You want to be masculine? Do that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I actually really like your definition, and you touched on so many things.
In 30 seconds.
Yeah, 30 seconds. Because I kind of had the opposite upbringing. Like, I grew up without my father actively in the household, and when he was in the household, things weren't good. So I didn't grow up like with the image of not just like even having a man in the house, but what a man is supposed to be. Because he wasn't there, but I also didn't know what it was supposed to even look like in the first place. Yeah. Now, thanks be to God, and part of why I started this platform is to be open about the things that literally saved my life. And part of that was the fathers of my friends. Like, my best friend's father was a huge male figure for me. My high school head coach, Coach Jake Gilbert, he's the head coach of the Wabash football team. My strength coach, who I still see like every week, Tavio Henson at Westfield High School. My minister, who I mentioned earlier, Stanley J. Hubbard. I've known him for 25, the best man that I know. And then all the men that were just consistent and I, like you mentioned earlier, like it's showing. So a
showing,
lot of them
yeah.
didn't tell me what a man is supposed
But
to
they
be.
were there.
Bro, the power of just being there. Like for 25 years, I've seen the same men show up in my church for 25 years. For 25 years, the same men have come up, have shook my hand, have said, how you doing? Has said, I love you, and said, I'm here for you for 25 years. Now, when I was younger, the absence of my dad like kind of left me like mute, and then some other things that were going on domestically. But the fact that those same men kept showing up through their actions showed me at least some qualities of what a man should be biblically. Now, I've only come to really find that out for myself, honestly, within the past 2 years. And you talk about leadership and submission, like the reason why, because like I do believe in the idea of biblically, like, call it mutual submission, right? Because women are called to submit to their husband, but that's only if
he submits to God.
Only if.
Please make that only
only
put that in bold terms.
Exclusive, only, big, extra large. Only.
Because the problem, Byron, the problem is,
what's up?
These women be submitting to men who are not submitted to God and wonder why it's a faulty foundation.
That's a whole other podcast. We need a whole episode for that one. But the reason why the men or a man should inadvertently submit to his wife is because he submits to God. And in his submission to God, he is called to mirror the image of Christ.
To love his wife like Christ loved the church.
Yeah, and
to lead.
Christ did what?
He died.
Died, served, submitted to the church, right?
And not only did Christ die, right, but after he died, he said, and I will not leave you comfortless. Mm-hmm. So he still already has stuff in position to make sure that the church was still comforted through his absence. Mm-hmm. So that's powerful.
Yeah, no, man. And like, it's, the problem is like, when you understand what the intention, again, if your foundation is in your faith, and for us in the Bible, when you understand in Genesis from the beginning, it has always been about partnership between man and God. Yeah. And when I say man, I mean all of mankind. It has always been about partnership. Because I think we talked about this. Only thing that God said wasn't good in creation
was for man to be alone.
Yeah. That's the only thing. So when you talk about the necessary forces of masculinity and femininity, it's biblical.
And I would take it even further, because the command that God gave in Genesis, he didn't talk to Eve. Mm-hmm. He talked to Adam with the hope that Adam was going to shepherd his wife and to not make the decision that she made. And even then, I believe if Eve would have ate the fruit, nothing would have happened. It wasn't when Adam ate the fruit that things started to happen, because the commandment was given to him, and everything falls back upon the man. When the house is burning, or when you have your family as a man and you don't have a house in general, they not coming to your wife and asking what she did. They coming to your wife and asking, what did your husband do? Yeah. Because it's your job to be the lover and to be the person of provision and to be the protector and to be the foundation of a strong family nature. That is up to you as the man. Right. And the problem nowadays, men have lost their position. We are confused. Men don't know where it is that they belong. Fortunately, we are in a new time period, even still with women they're working now. Yeah. So you'll hear a whole lot of women, rightfully so. You hear a whole lot of women say, I don't need a man. I don't need, and you see the state of the world. It is very tough. It's very tragic. All because of these ideas, I don't need a man. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't hear a lot of men saying I don't need a woman.
Yeah, because it's stupid to say that.
We know the value.
Yeah.
It's not a
I'd be like, you're an idiot. Like, what are you talking about?
It's like, it's not a competition. We literally need each other. Yeah. Everybody on earth is only on earth because of a man and a woman came together and had a child. I mean, everybody.
Yeah. Bruh, I was, sorry to cut you off.
No, you good.
I literally had this thought the other day. I went to my cousin's graduation at Carmel High School, and it was at the Indiana State Fairgrounds. Stadium filled, not an empty seat. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, every single one of these people came from a union between a man and a woman. Every single one.
Every single one.
Every single one.
There's nobody on earth that didn't come.
Not a single one.
And whether, even if it was through the scientific ways,
you still needed a man and a woman.
In vitro, whatever you want to call it. Even if it was under some unfortunate circumstances, every human being on earth has a mom and a dad.
Yeah.
And there's no way around it.
Yeah.
Science ain't figured it out, and they can't figure it out because there's no other way.
And I don't think they're supposed to.
They're not, because you're oversimplifying, you're overcomplicating the simple things. Let's make it real simple. Mm-hmm. A human being is made up of either XX chromosome or XY chromosome, right? Mm-hmm. And in order for you to be born, you have to have someone who carries the X chromosome and the Y chromosome, or the XY chromosome together. Mm-hmm. Those two come together, and you either get the XX and the XY, and here you are.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
And if we lose the ability to understand the necessity of each other, the world will die.
Yeah.
Because we're not understanding the fact that I need you and you need me in order for us to continue this world. And now we're under this sad idea of, well, I don't want to have kids anyways. Yeah. Because the world is terrible. Let me tell you why the world is terrible.
Yeah.
Because you have neglected the fact that we need each other.
Yeah.
God has made us so plain and simple to the fact that where we fit into each other literally.
Literally.
I mean, we're literally made for each other, and there's no way around it. None.
Yeah. No, I think, again, you said in 3 minutes, you said a lot. You said a lot in 3 minutes. But just the idea of how destructive it is if you don't see, either man to a woman or woman to a man,
the value of each other.
If you don't see them as an indispensable, irreplaceable other than yourself, you got a problem.
Because that's also called a man. Understand, we have to love and respect our woman. Yeah. They are as close to God as we can get, because they literally can carry life and produce it. Bro. That's something we can't do. That's a superpower.
I be looking around, I'm like, where are we?
No, literally.
You ever watch sunrise and you're like,
this is crazy.
What? Yeah. No, again, in my Bible study I do every week, I'd be like, y'all, sometimes I be wondering, I'm like, where are we? Let me get this straight. We're on this giant sphere floating in the middle of the void, which, by the way, outside of our atmosphere, we can't breathe or exist in life. But we're just far away from the sun to where we don't burn up, or we don't freeze. We're just close enough to that we don't burn up. And there's enough self-producing cells on this planet that create this thing called dirt. And if you throw water on it, it makes this stuff called grass and trees. Oh, by the way, they produce oxygen.
Yeah, some crazy stuff.
So let me get this straight. And everything that's ever been made has already been here. Everything that has been constructed or built or thought of, these mics, this technology, all of it was already given.
Someone just figured how to put two and two together.
Yeah. Everything like this, we could have made this, 1,000 years ago. We just didn't think of it yet. But the resources already existed. The gift was already given. Tyrus, where are we? Where? Bro, it's crazy, ain't it?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but it's the fact that we just miss that sometimes, and the intention.
Get lost in the mundane.
Yeah,
and the selfishness of just being human and this is my life. I get to do what I want. Blah 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 blah. And you have to understand, everybody before you was selfless enough to have you and to care for you and to nurture you. And it's so unfortunate to see how many people just have a lack of care and consideration, not only for the people around them, but for themselves. It's why not want to continue the world and make it better?
Yeah.
Why not want to have children to help carry on the bloodline, to help care for the world? Why not want to commit to somebody so you could build something worth building? These are the questions that we need to ask. Yeah. And we'll get on Twitter and Instagram, and we're talking about stuff that doesn't matter, stuff that we can't control. What about you? What about the ideas and sins and things that are facing our own lives? Everybody's casting stones right now. Everybody's casting stones at some particular individuals that we think that we know that we have no idea of.
Yeah.
We've never met these people. We don't know about their upbringing. We don't know the traumas that they're facing. We don't know what they've been through. But we all want to throw stones. And if I remember correctly in the scriptures, when they brought the lady to Jesus and said, hey, Jesus, this woman is fornicating.
For those of you who sin, cast the first
You
stone.
see, without sin, whichever one of you ain't got no sin, I'll let y'all be my guest. Throw the first stone. Matter of fact, you can do it. Byron, you do it. You throw the first stone. And now we have a lot of people.
Man.
He was. I like
he was dog. Yeah.
We have a lot of people who have sin in their lives, but they're throwing stones at others instead of saying, go and sin no more.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to help be the remedy for the people who are facing these traumas, who may have not done anything to, receive these traumas. And they're not getting anything to receive the healing. They're just getting stones thrown at them. Because when you go through certain things, you make bad decisions. You do things that you shouldn't.
Yeah.
And if you do things you shouldn't, other people pay the consequences. So until somebody can step up and say, I understand what you've been through, let me be a point of healing for you, we'll continue to go in the cycle of hurt people hurting people.
Yeah. Hurt people, man. No, again, 3
to
minutes
that point, let me add something to the end that hurt people.
Yeah.
But heal people. So be the healed person to help heal somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, again, another 3-minute rant of just heat. 3 minutes of heat. That should be the name of this episode. But no, like I 100% agree. Like we're just caught in this violent cycle that, in no doubt, is planned by the enemy. 100%. Of one, neglecting and taking for granted the gift that has been given, which not only is the earth and Jesus, but each other.
Relationships with each other.
Man, like there's, like, especially when you get older, like you eventually figure out that nothing matters more than the connections that you have with other people. Yeah. Now, having some money, it don't hurt. It don't hurt. No, it ain't gonna hurt you, right? But making sure. And funny enough, I actually studied this concept recently of the idea of righteousness, and at its root, it's being in right relationship with the people around you. It's not about your personal moral code or anything. It's about ensuring that you treat people with the respect, the love, and the kindness that Jesus commissions us to have.
And think, what are the commandments that Jesus gave us? 1, hear Israel, the Lord our God is one. 2, to love God with all your heart, all your soul. And last, to love your neighbor as yourself. And not just your neighbor that you like, but your neighbor that you hate too.
Yeah.
Just love your neighbor as thyself. And I think a problem with that, people don't love themselves. So they don't even know how to love their neighbors because they don't love themselves.
Yeah, that's why Jesus also says, love them as I have loved you.
Yeah.
Because part of it is like, you don't trust us to love them like we love ourselves, because some of us don't.
Don't love ourselves.
So love them like I have loved you.
Yeah.
And like, man, I'll tell you this, and I gotta fix the cameras, but my biggest breakthrough in my personal growth journey was finding out truly how much God loves me. And it doesn't make sense, and every time I think about it, it blows my mind. Because of all the mistakes I've made, of all the times that I picked rock bottom. And that's another conversation that could be completely separate. But
that grace and mercy, man, is sufficient for sure.
Of the times that I have been broken, the fact that God has never left me through all of it. Not only did he not leave me, but he picked up the pieces and made something new that I never could have imagined.
Because he said, I would never leave you nor forsake you.
Yeah.
Joshua
chapter 1.
Some people may be there, but they're going to forsake you.
Yeah. I will never leave you nor forsake you. Now, I think what's important to know is that we can leave him. We can leave God. But he will not move from his position. If we say, God, we don't want you, he'll say, okay. God respects your boundaries that you set, right? But it's about when you invite him in. Yeah. He's clear on where he stands, and he's not going anywhere. Yeah. And just that when you start, and again, that leads into my next bro, we're on a roll today. But when you understand, for me, it was starting at that God really does love me through all, honestly, of my bullshit. Like, of all the stupid stuff that I've done, the mistakes that I made, the neglect that I had for him and the people around me, he still stuck by me. That being said, that kind of leads right into my last question. I know I mentioned where I started was understanding how much God loves me. And even though, because we both grew up like in the church, but when you, again, for us, it's faith. But when you discover it for yourself, it's different when you're raised in it. But like when you, not with anybody else, like actively pursue it alone, that's really where you find it for yourself. So I ask you, like, where do you recommend people start? Because we've been talking about like how we're stuck in this cycle of taking each other for granted, not understanding real leadership, real masculinity, right? Or not understanding fully like where we're supposed to be, what's in our lane, what's in our circle of influence to actually act on. Where do you think people should start?
That's a good question. I think people should start with accepting that they need something.
Yeah, recognition.
So putting aside the pride and the idea that you have everything that you need in the moment, that you're just perfect.
Yeah.
Start with accepting the fact that you need something. And then within that pursuit and leading with faith, you hope that you find what it is that you need.
Look at that. Full circle.
Full circle.
Look at that.
Had to bring it back.
Had to. Because it's all connected, right? Yeah. To your point about the recognition that you read help, again, I was just studying the Beatitudes. And I think it is actually the first Beatitude. It says, blessed are the poor in spirit. And I think that people really take that one, like it hits you the wrong way. It's like, why would someone who's poor in spirit be blessed? Now, following that is the blessing itself. But what poor in spirit actually means is that recognition. It's the recognition that I don't have it all together and I need some additional help to get where I need to be. Like it's humility, it's meekness, and understanding it's like, I can only do so much, because when you're full in the spirit, you think like you got it all together, you into the realm of arrogance and all this other kind of stuff. But when you recognize that there's some things that you can't account for, you begin seeking the help that you actually need.
Yeah.
And you talk about any form of psychology or therapy, that's always the first step, is recognition.
Yeah.
It's always the first step. It's recognition. It's like, okay, I actually need some help. Like I don't have all the answers.
Something is wrong.
Something is wrong. And I don't have the answer right now. So I need to go seek it, you know? So.
Yeah. And if you don't think something is wrong, by all means, good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah. But also keep going. Yeah. Just see where you end up. Nothing's wrong. Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah. I kind of envy those who feel as if nothing is wrong and they have everything that essentially they need. Because I'm always on the mode of desire of more.
Yeah.
Whether it be answers of fulfillment or clarity or whatever. But I think the desire is what keeps me going. And that's where I have the potential and position to learn. And not only to learn, but to share. Because sharing that's my superpower. And I know that I've been called to be a sharer of, whether you want to call it the gospel, which is essentially the good news, or if I'm called to share stories of liberation, the idea that there is freedom found outside of bondage. God put Moses through bondage after he had experienced freedom, because he needed Moses to know what it would taste like. But when he threw him back into bondage with his people of Israel, that's a whole nother. Boy,
don't hear that saying.
That's a whole nother lesson, man.
That's a whole other episode. No, to your point, like the idea. I wanted to touch on something you mentioned. Again, I'm gonna keep shouting out my Bible study group because we be talking, we be spitting. But someone had brought up the question of balancing, like, because you have this gift that needs to be honed, that needs to be pursued, that needs to be grown, right? But you also have this biblical idea of contentment. And I think you see that executed in different ways. Like, people limit themselves into the amount that they can be, whether it's monetarily or they limit themselves professionally or career-wise, because they're kind of settling into this idea of contentment, which is biblical, right? So this individual had brought up, like, because they're creatively gifted, right? They're like, how do I pursue this thing that I still feel like somewhat unsatisfied, right? But I still have contentment. And the way that our conversation, the direction that we went, as like, I received, because I'm gifted with a competitive edge. I'm not just about to get beat, you know, but the opportunity to pursue something is a gift. Like the opportunity to have a goal or a desire or a place that you want to get to, like that's a gift in and of itself. Now, contentment is recognition of the things you've been given. It's the understanding that you have what you need to at least be okay, right? But it's still a gift to be able to pursue and fight for something, to go after something, to go after a championship, to go after winning an award or being the best at something. Right now, what drives you in that direction, I think, is the discerning factor, right? One, always, for us, it's keeping God first, making sure you understand where your foundation is, where your feet are at, right? And not letting the thing be the prize, because you mentioned like your desire is kind of what keeps you going. So how do you balance the idea of having desire, but also having your foot grounded in the idea that you need to have some contentment in there as well?
That's a really good question. Really good question. I think contentment essentially is a personal idea.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think everyone has their own personal definition of what it is to be content.
Yeah.
And even then, I know that I could do better at being content what it is that I have, but not giving up.
Yeah.
Because I think some people confuse contentment and comfortability.
Yeah.
And contentment and comfortability are not the same. To be comfortable with what you have, but not trying to, grow and do more, that's one thing. But to be content with what you have while still sharpening your skills and still sharpening whatever it is that you desire, that's the space that I like to be in.
Mm-hmm.
I'm blessed to be where it is that I am.
Right.
And I need to be more grateful in the things that I have, especially looking back on the things that I had.
Yeah.
That's everything. So to show gratitude of the journey up until this point, but to not lose focus of where you are heading.
Mm-hmm.
That's where it is.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and when you talk about gratitude is so important.
It's very grounding.
It's so important because like gratitude in and of itself, at least from my experience, recognizes that there's something that I've been given that maybe I asked for, right? Or maybe I didn't, right?
But I have it.
But you have it, irregardless. It's like I had, like, man, you wake up, look outside, sun coming, it's like, thank you. Thank you. Like, and like gratitude is one of the most grounding and giving things that you can do, not just for someone, is like for yourself. Like, again, we talked about earlier, like how you can delve from confidence to arrogance, right? I think when you don't have gratitude, you think you like deserve all the things you've been given, right? And now that's not to say you don't deserve like love, kindness, respect, and all that kind of stuff, right? But like when you have gratitude, it's like, hey, I recognize that there's things that are happening that I haven't touched, that I haven't influenced to happen, that are given. Like the tracks have been laid. Like, I tell you what, I didn't lay the roads down for me to drive on. Thanks, construction workers. I didn't put my car together. Thanks, engineers and Hyundai, whatever sponsor. But like it's recognition that like there's some things I didn't do, and I'm grateful. Yeah. Or I'm glad that it was given, and I'm giving back and recognizing that I had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, and I think it gets better when you start adding through the gratitude. What more could I add to repay? Not even just to repay it, but you can just end it there. What more could I add to make sure that somebody else is blessed from me being here?
Yeah.
We talked often about being remembered, and I do think it's important that you think of how it is that you want to be remembered.
Yeah.
But also, on the same token, I have no idea who made this table, this microphone,
thanks,
this
16 tech,
this seat, none of this. I have no idea who made it, but it still adds some sense of value.
Yeah.
So maybe not even being remembered by name, but being remembered by what it is that you do. Mm-hmm. How is it that you want to be remembered then?
Yeah. Yeah. No, like when you start, honestly, like when you talk about where do people start, for me, it was recognizing how much you're loved. And remind me what you said, like yours was recognition, right? I think gratitude is another good place to start. Like gratitude, like you can start every day with some gratitude.
Right.
Wake up, it's like, you know what? Thank you. Like just take a moment and appreciate that you woke up, that, I don't know. I try to get up for the sun, but the sun's coming up.
Yeah.
My house ain't burned down.
Which is very special. The sunrise gives you a feeling like no other.
Yeah.
The sunset is beautiful too, but that sunrise gives you a feeling like no other, because you're coming from darkness to starting to see light.
Yeah.
And that's a powerful,
literally,
it's a powerful feeling.
Yeah.
Whereas, I mean, like I said, sunset is nice.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's like the cap on the day. It's like, oh, this was a beautiful day. Now we get to see a beautiful sunset. But most people don't even get to wake up early enough to even enjoy the sunrise. Yeah. So I would encourage people to wake up, see that sunrise.
That is something that I've been intentional about, like waking up before the sun.
And it's like I said, just gives you a feeling that can't be explained.
Yeah, tell the sun's like, were you just now getting up?
Yeah.
But no, you're right. Like it gives so much. Like when you just stop for a second, and like even like I encourage, like I don't know, like for example, like sometimes, and we take it all for granted, right?
I know I do. Yeah.
You really can shock someone just by out the blue saying, you know what, thank you, and they're like, for what?
Existing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Just thank you.
That's everybody. Somebody is rooted in the fact that you don't have to do something special to be of value. Mm-hmm. Just you existing is enough for you to be of value. Mm-hmm. And how should people with value be treated? They should be treated with love, kindness, and respect. Mm-hmm. You don't have to do anything special. Now, you can do some things to make your value become increased. Mm-hmm. And you can also do some things that are going to make people question your value. Yeah. But at the end of the day, you do have value.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, I think that sometimes people need to be reminded. And one of the easiest, simplest, but most powerful ways you can do that, just say thank you.
Just say thank you.
Just say for what? Just thank you. And it'll catch them off guard. Yeah. And they'll say, okay, but like the depth of just those two words, man. Thank you. Not for because you gave. Well, you did. You gave just by being here, just by existing. And again, we talked about friendship earlier. Like I like you just because you. Like I like being around you because like your existence, like it's cool. Like you know, it's something like you want to be around.
Right.
And I think thank you is another form of recognition, like you said.
To be recognized is huge. A lot of people feel alone because they don't feel as if they're seen.
Yeah.
So how do you make somebody feel seen?
Yeah.
Say hi, thank you.
Yeah.
Call them by their name. Hey, Byron, how are you doing today? Mm-hmm. What is it that you need from me? We talked often about what people or about different things in life, but we don't talk too much about each other. Yeah. To each other. Like one of my favorite things on my podcast, when I bring them on and do the introduction and everything and say something about them, most times people are like, wow, that made me feel really good. Because it's not often enough that we hear about ourselves and we hear about the effects that we have on each other's lives. And that can be missed. And when that's missed, a person can start to question their value and they can start to question if they do matter, if they don't matter. Right. But the reality is you do matter. And we can do a better job at telling people that they matter.
For sure.
Just by, to your point, saying thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, to that point as well, like the danger also of relying on other people to tell you you're valuable, which is why like being grounded and having your own foundation is so important.
Being true to you.
Being true to you.
I always say there's the most important relationship that you have is with yourself. Like, what does that self-talk look like? Yeah. What are the things that you're telling yourself? What are the things that you're hoping that others would tell you that you could be telling yourself? Yeah. When you look into the mirror, what is it that you see? Do you see a stranger or do you see your best friend? Mm-hmm. If you see a stranger, it's time to go on a date. If you see your best friend, tell yourself thank you.
You know, I was literally just about to ask you that. I don't think I've like personally ever looked in the mirror and told I say a lot to myself, right? I say you cool, you're doing a good job, you're doing anything, yada. But I've never thought to tell myself thank you.
You should do that. And even if it's not that external mirror, the internal mirror. Because that relationship that we have with our soul that nobody can see but us, that we could even hide from the mirror, that deep, deep part that only you know. How's that relationship? Yeah. What are you saying in those moments where that person is crying? Who comforts him? Who tells him everything is going to be okay? Who tells him to keep going when he wants to give up and when he feels as if the work that he's been doing is in vain, right? And it's not working out? Who reminds him that in due time you'll reap what you sow if you faint not? Right. Who remind him to be of good courage and to be not weary? Who reminds him that? If nobody else sees him, it is only up to you to remind yourself.
Right. That's why foundation is important, man. Well, I don't want to keep you way too far past this time. But no, man, phenomenal conversation.
We touched on a lot in this short hour.
We did, and there's also so much more that we had to withhold to not get into. But Tyrus, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Byron.
you for your presence, for your conversation, for your insight. This will not be this. I'm gonna drag you back on. This won't be the last time.
I'll be willing. I'm also gonna have you on my platform too.
What? Just hit me up, man.
Sure.
But no, I appreciate it. But thank you for those that have tuned in for this first episode. Thank you. We're grateful and we're appreciative, and more to come, whether from this platform or from Tyrus and myself. But have a good day. Have a firm foundation. Thank you.
Peace.